Maybe I really should have guessed the moment I saw the children in the room they were kept in. Sure, I couldn't have known what was specifically going on. Only a lunatic could have guessed what was specifically going on. But something was clearly wrong with the picture. Thomas DeCarlo Calloway or CeeLo Green once said, "Forget you." This is probably what Sophie was thinking when her boyfriend ditches her on a crappy vacation. So she desperately searches for a job and finds one, taking care of The Children of the Revolution by Maureen Johnson. The room was a child's wonderland. What had once been formal dining rooms had been changed into one massive long room. The walls and ceiling had been painted to look like a blue sky full of cartoonish clouds. The floor had been covered with foam rubber and carpet, and at the far end of the room, there was a full-size jungle gym, complete with a red and purple tube slide and a small ball pit. The enormous windows had clearly been barred with safety to keep out prying eyes. The children, they were toddlers, but they act younger than that. They had the more easy grace of kindergartners. They come from all different countries. None of them are native English speakers. They know a few words. They're learning. Watch. Everyone, listen to Mommy. Look at Mommy. Now, this is a friend I have kept to come and stay with you. Isn't she pretty? Her name is Sophie. You like her, don't you? All the children examined me with baffled stares. Asked the oldest boy, which seemed a little judgmental to my ears. Yes, this is Sophie. You like her, don't you? Said the woman, who apparently understood what the little boy just said. So yeah, I should have known that these children were not normal, but then I thought, celebrity children. Well, they're just different. You can't apply the same standards you apply to regular children. I guess the voices in my brain were telling me that they weren't doing well and had spent a lot of their short times on private aircraft, and they had dietitians, and maybe that's just what really rich looks like. But another voice in my head, a quieter one, it was in the back, telling me to leave, to get out of the house, get away from them, to take Jack to London, to starve, or even just call home. While I can still assign blame, I want you all to know that this is all Franklin's fault. Come to England, he said. We will have a romantic summer picking berries together on an organic farm, he said. Born to live, he said. Look at this website I found, he said. The website talked about a free room and board on the farm, 3 square organic meals a day. It showed pictures of an ecologically friendly, healthy wonderland for people from different countries. It showed pictures of carrots and berries and ponies. This is where Franklin wanted us to be together. See, what Franklin did not mention, or more likely did not know, was that come live and work on our organic farm in remote England this summer actually may be our slaves, stupid students. No one mentioned that the farm was uninsulated and not really weatherproof. The floors leaned and creaked on the 3rd floor, and the beds were World War II surplus cots. The owners were mean and cheap, hot water was unknown, and there was no washing machine, except in the owner's separate house, and they certainly weren't sharing. Also, it was a land of godforsaken wild ponies who charged at you through bushes when you were least expecting it. Also, it was a land of absolutely no weed, which is probably why Franklin took off after 2 weeks. Because a non-stone Franklin was actually a lazy, grouchy Franklin who let other people pick his berries while he sought out other ways of getting high. Then one very wet day in the middle of the 2nd week, Franklin left. I was alone, no boyfriend, and more importantly, no cash. So every night I thought about giving up. I could go home, I could fall on my parents' mercy, but that would mean that every single thing for the rest of my life would only bring trouble. Remember that time you decided to go to that organic farm with that guy? What was his name? And then he left you, and then you had no money, and we had to bail you out? No. It was unthinkable to run home. What I needed was some money, so when I heard from the local laundromat owner, George, that a famous actress was looking for someone to take care of her children at a very decent pay, I left that stupid farm and George gave me a ride to her house. I didn't even tell the farm owners I was leaving. Even riding in a rundown car with an old man was a massive improvement. Once I arrived at her home, she explained simply what she wanted me to do. I just need a hen, that's all. I have to be away tonight, so I just need you to look after them. Oh, and the only thing you really have to do is feed them. But it's very easy. We headed to the main entrance hall and she opened one of the doors. This is when I saw the room for the first time and the 5 stumbling children that lived in it. The actress pointed them out. Alex was a little boy from Kenya. Melissa was a little brown-haired girl with a slightly pushed-in face from Turkey. Ben was from Vietnam. Lily was a tiny blonde from Ukraine. And Maxine was from Burundi. You really don't have to do anything. You just give them their meals at the right time. Oh, and don't go into the play area, okay? They're fine in there. Don't take them out. Oh, I have to get going. Oh, and here. She reached into her purse and pressed in a folded stack of pound notes into my hand. Then she was out the door. I looked at the money in my hand. She had given me 800 pounds for a night's work. Again, you might be thinking that the flag should have gone up. They must have been waving wildly. But what would you have done? A famous actress asked you to do the easiest job in the world for one night and hand you enough money to fix all your problems. So okay, the situation was a bit freaky, fine. But it wasn't unpleasant or illegal or deeply morally wrong. It was just an overpaid babysitter working for a famous friendly nutcase. When I went back into the playroom, the children couldn't be bothered with me. SpongeBob had appeared on one of the televisions, and they all clustered close enough underneath it to watch. There was plenty of room to watch, they just had no concept of viewing distance. They all went underneath it, craning their necks, looking straight up. When the second SpongeBob was over, the television shut itself off. Aside from a few mumbling from the kids, there was no noise. All right, you guys, I'm Sophie. Sophie. SpongeBob? Little Ben was pointing at the television. Yes, you like SpongeBob. SpongeBob? No more SpongeBob right now. Later, I took a snack into the room the actress had given me. In this warm house, everything finally seemed good. It made all the difference to have a decent dinner, bed, and television. So I turned on the television and lost myself instantly. A few hours later, I woke up. So I decided to go check on the kids. They were still up. In fact, they were all pressed up against the plastic gate now, looking all urgent and sad. Suddenly, all the loneliness and misery I had felt over the past couple weeks came to the surface. A motherly instinct stirred inside of me. Screw it, I thought. These kids need a tuck into bed, some kind of reassuring presence. So I decided to go into the playroom. They were just a few feet away from me when some instinct deep in my brain told me I made a mistake. Alex got to me first, and the first thing he did was clamp down on my left wrist. No, the universal word had no effect. He was sinking in his teeth, harder and harder, so the next reaction was just automatic. I punched little Alex in the face. When I finally escaped the playroom, I went to my room and passed out on my bed. When I woke up, the actress was sitting next to me on the bed. How are you feeling? Kind of weird, tired. You had a bad bite, but you'll be okay now. I did say not to go in, did I? I have to tell you something. I need to talk about your friend, Franklin. It wasn't his fault, it was just dark. Dark? He was just in the road. It's dark. There's no lights out there. I didn't see him until he bounced off my hood. Bounced off? You hit him? He's doing fine. He really wants to see you. Part of me was glad that Franklin was sucking it a bit, getting bounced off car hoods and all. That he was sorry that he left me. But how is he here? I've been here all night and I hadn't seen him. He's still recovering. After he was a little disoriented, but he's okay now. There's something I need to explain to you. See, there is no death. That's why we don't call it death. We call it sleep. See, my kids, they're special. They were all asleep. You're telling me that all your kids were dead and you brought them back? It's a revolution, Sophie, against death itself. And my children are the start. And Franklin, and you'll be with your boyfriend forever. With Franklin? Forever? Forever with that idiot? Gosh, she was warm. She was just sitting next to me on the bed. People are so warm, and her pulse. All of a sudden, I was looking at her neck. I knew it was a neck, not a burger. But they had become one and the same. So there was only one thing to do. So I bit. I bit so hard, I just clamped down, and then a delight. I didn't even mind the screaming. It was right. It was right. It was exciting. Don't know why I just happy now. Machine on wall with sponge comes on. Is television? Why so hard to remember? Would think it's sick, but feels so good, so must not be sick. Nice room, but no other place. Remember big place wanted to go to? Big city. London is called. But when Sponge done, Sponge first. Then go to big city. Franklin touch hand, smile. Sponge. Franklin's so pretty. Be happy.